From Liv Tyler's sloppy performance in The Incredible Hulk to Susan Storm being nothing more than an over-sexualized pretty face, here are Marvel's most controversial casting decisions. It's all about getting the perfect team to bring a story to life. The cast can turn a film into a blockbuster hit or a major disappointment. Now, we all know that Marvel has a knack for perfect casting choices. They seem to always pick actors who perfectly embody their comic book counterparts. But hey, even with their impressive track record, there have been a few missteps along the way. We're talking cringeworthy instances where they missed the mark on casting big time. You know those moments when you see an A-list actor wearing spandex and talking to a computer-generated raccoon, and it just doesn't quite work. Sometimes actors pull down the whole franchise with their poor work. I'm looking at you, Liv Tyler. Don't get me wrong, Liv's a wonderful person, but when it comes to her acting chops, well, there's room for improvement. Throughout her career, she's only ever played slightly different variations of the same character. You know the type. Flimsy, breathy, and always on the verge of tears. In The Incredible Hulk, directed by Louis Leterrier, Liv Tyler takes on the role of Betty Ross, Bruce Banner's love interest. Unsurprisingly, her performance falls into the same familiar pattern. She portrays Betty as a fragile woman who, to no one's shock, is always a step away from bursting into tears. As far as the chemistry between her and her co-star Edward Norton is concerned, well, let's just say it's about as electric as a block of wood. It's a shame when sparks don't fly, especially in a film where you need that emotional connection to keep the story engaging. Likewise, Natalie Portman's portrayal of Jane Foster in the Thor films turned out to be a big disappointment too. Jane is an essential character in the Thor universe, no doubt about it. But there's a bit of a disconnect between the character and the actress. People just found it hard to buy her as an astrophysicist. It's like she was dialing in her performance, especially in the second film, and that didn't win her any favors. To give credit where credit is due, Natalie's an incredible actress. She's always surprising us with roles that showcase her acting chops, whether she's a brash pop icon in the hunt for a comeback or a crazed ballerina spiraling down the rabbit hole. She nails it every time. But when it comes to Jane Foster, it's a different story entirely. In the first Thor movie, she tries to play Jane as a major nerd who gets excited about wormholes, other dimensions, and physics stuff. But it's clear that this just isn't her forte. She's clearly out of her comfort zone. With all that criticism, Natalie decided to switch things up for Thor: The Dark World. She tries to make Jane into someone who's always zoned out, kinda oblivious, who doesn't get what's happening around her. Which makes watching her for over an hour on the screen incredibly painful. So yeah, sometimes the actors can bring a production crashing down with their boring performances. Other times, though, it's the controversies following them that totally ruin a movie's chance at making it big. I bet everyone said Edward Norton. The guy's no stranger to Hollywood circles, where he's built a reputation for being a bit difficult to work with. By a bit, I obviously mean a lot. When he joined forces with Marvel for The Incredible Hulk, his hands-on approach to production proved to be disastrous. He wanted to be involved in every aspect of the movie, and he made it clear from the start. In fact, he signed up for the project with the condition that he'd have a say in rewriting the script. While he was paid for his contributions, and his portrayal of Bruce Banner was somewhat solid, the final version of the film didn't quite hit the mark. Norton's recommendations weren't incorporated into the final cut though, and he threw a massive tantrum. Talk about some serious behind-the-scenes drama. Things took a turn for the worse during post-production, when the studio wanted a more streamlined version of the movie. This clashed with Norton's vision of a serious Hulk, since Marvel was leaning towards a more playful approach. The tension escalated, the press got wind of the spat, and suddenly, the film became overshadowed by its issues, which made headlines. Norton eventually made his exit, opting not to return for Avengers Assemble or any further Hulk movies. It was the first major setback that the Marvel Cinematic Universe experienced. But fear not, the MCU found a worthy replacement in Mark Ruffalo, who turned out to be a far better choice for the role of the Hulk. Another casting choice that raised a few eyebrows was none other than Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in the MCU. Marvel really dropped the ball on this one. Okay, let's be honest here. Swinton did an okay job in the role, but there was quite a lot of controversy surrounding the character's ethnicity. The Ancient One, who was originally depicted as a foreign man in the comics, was now being portrayed by a Caucasian woman. That decision obviously didn't sit well with fans. Now, to be fair, casting anyone as the Ancient One would have been tricky. The character's comic book depiction was already outdated, with some accusing it of being racist, or at the very least, tacky. But in their attempt to address the issue, Marvel found itself tangled up in a whole new controversy. The Media Action for Asian Americans and others accused them of whitewashing the role. Marvel defended its decision, claiming that Swinton's portrayal of the character was of Celtic descent. However, the negative press surrounding the casting overshadowed the film itself. Director Derrickson had to face the music and address the casting decision in an interview, where he emphasized the importance of diversity in movies, and pointed out that they intentionally had a diverse cast in Doctor Strange. Bringing in Tilda was a way to add diversity, by having a middle-aged woman be introduced into the Marvel Universe in a major role, which was a refreshing change from the usual 28-year-old women in leather pants, which I guess is fair reasoning. There's also the controversy surrounding Christopher Eccleston, when he chose to openly talk about not enjoying his time in the MCU. Guess what, Chris? We didn't exactly enjoy watching you wreck the great villain Malekith the Accused either. Sorry, Doctor Who fans, but Eccleston just didn't bring the heat as this formidable villain. Now I get it. Jason Aaron hadn't yet reinvented Malekith as a major nemesis of the mighty Thor at this stage. But come on, there was still so much great material from the comics to work with. Marvel Studios had a chance to give us an epic and unforgettable enemy. It's no secret that this version of Malekith was a major letdown, and Eccleston deserves the lion's share of the blame for it. It felt like he was just not even remotely interested in bringing the character to life on the big screen. Maybe the material didn't exactly inspire him, but hey, that's no excuse for poor performance. Let's just say that Malekith's presence nearly put a nail in the coffin of the Thor franchise. There are also a lot of casting decisions that may not have even seemed that off initially, but they still didn't sit well with fans once the movies were out. One such case is Halle Berry's portrayal of Storm in the X-Men films. Now, playing such an iconic character was bound to invite criticism, and let's just say it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Barry as Storm. It's not just Barry's performance that left fans with a sour taste in their mouths. Oh no, it was a mix of factors that made Storm's portrayal less than stellar. We're talking awful writing, cringeworthy catchphrases, a fluctuating accent that left us all confused, and Barry's somewhat submissive appearance compared to the strong qualities of the comic book counterpart. It was a head-scratching experience to say the least. Another Storm from the MCU to have missed the mark by a big margin was Susan Storm, played by Jessica Alba. The actress herself has been quite vocal about how the second film in the franchise made her consider quitting acting altogether. Sheesh. Here's the deal. Susan Storm was supposed to be this intellectual, sensible, and sophisticated scientist, but what did the movie give us? An over-sexualized Alba, who seemed to be chosen more for her beauty than anything else. It's like they prioritized her looks over her character's depth and intelligence. Alba tried her best to contribute more than just her stunning appearance, I'll give her that. She wanted to bring substance to the role, but unfortunately, the movies just didn't quite deliver. So there you have it. From Susan Storm being nothing more than an over-sexualized pretty face, to Liv Tyler's sloppy performance, these were Marvel's most controversial casting decisions.